Praise a woman in these 8 ways, and she will immediately feel drawn to you. Old Stoic wisdom. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. William James, welcome, gentlemen. If you're here, you're likely someone who doesn't just want fleeting attraction, you're seeking genuine connection. You want to understand how to make a woman feel truly seen, valued, and appreciated, not just for her appearance, but for who she is at her core. And here's the timeless truth. When a woman feels authentically admired and respected, she naturally becomes more open, trusting, and emotionally connected. That connection often translates into a deep, enduring attraction. But here's where most men miss the mark. They default to the usual compliments. You look amazing, or you're so sexy. Sure, those have their place, but they're surface level. They don't touch the heart. True praise, the kind that speaks to her soul, goes far beyond looks. It's about recognizing her spirit, her strength, her subtle qualities that others overlook. In this segment, we'll explore 8 powerful ways to praise a woman, approaches rooted in both timeless Stoic principles and modern psychological insight. When done right, these forms of praise will stir something deep within her. She'll feel not only admired, but understood, and that changes everything. Let's dive in. 1. Praise her intelligence. Let's begin with one of the most underrated but profoundly powerful ways to praise a woman, acknowledging her intelligence. Too often, men default to surface-level compliments like, "You're beautiful," or "You look amazing tonight." While these are appreciated, they rarely touch the deeper layers of a woman's identity. What truly distinguishes a man in a woman's eyes, especially one with maturity and depth, is the ability to see beyond the obvious, to recognize the brilliance of her mind, the nuance in her thoughts, and the unique lens through which she views the world. This is especially potent when dealing with women who value emotional depth and intellectual resonance, qualities many women between the ages of 30 and 70 tend to develop and cherish. When you say something like, "I love how your mind works," you always have such an original way of seeing things. It's like talking to you expands my own thinking. You're not just offering flattery, you're offering validation. And that's a rare gift. As the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listening closely to a woman's thoughts and reflecting them back with sincere admiration creates an emotional bridge that few other compliments can. It's a way of saying, "I see the world a little differently because of you." And that's far more intimate than any compliment about looks. Intelligence is often the gateway to a woman's heart, and when you appreciate her ideas and curiosity, you're nurturing a connection that extends beyond attraction and into the realm of respect and admiration. This is where lasting bonds are forged, where she begins to feel not just desired, but deeply understood. Real-life advice here: don't just wait for the perfect moment or a deep conversation, train yourself to listen actively. When she shares her take on a book, an article, a social issue, or even an everyday situation, don't just nod. Respond with something meaningful that shows you're genuinely engaged. Think about it. In a world filled with distractions, showing true attention is both rare and powerful. Compliments tied to intelligence are timeless because they affirm something that doesn't fade with age or change with seasons. They honor the core of who she is. As Oscar Wilde wisely put it, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. And when you highlight her intelligence, you encourage her to fall deeper in love with herself through your eyes. It's a mirror that reflects her truest worth. So next time you're talking to a woman, your wife, your partner, or someone you're just getting to know, look for that opportunity to say, "I've never thought about it that way before. You've opened up a new perspective for me." You'll be surprised at how such a statement can immediately shift the emotional energy between you. It's not manipulation, it's recognition. And recognition, especially when sincere, is magnetic. 2. Admire her passion. If there's one thing ancient Stoic wisdom teaches us, it's to observe deeply, to recognize the essence of what moves a person, and then to honor it. When it comes to making a woman feel genuinely seen and emotionally connected, few things are more powerful than admiring the fire that fuels her soul. Think of it this way. Every person carries within them a kind of sacred flame, their passion, their calling, that thing they lose track of time doing. For a woman, this could be anything from writing poetry in the quiet hours of dawn, to coaching a youth soccer team with relentless dedication, to building a business from scratch with grit and grace. When you take the time to notice that spark, not just what she does, but how alive she becomes when she talks about it, you are no longer merely complimenting her appearance or her smile. You are reaching into the deeper layers of her identity and saying, I see you. In our modern world, where so many interactions are surface level and driven by quick swipes and hollow words, a man who listens with intent and speaks with sincere admiration stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. So when she talks about a project she's working on, a class she's teaching, or a goal she's chasing, lean in. Not physically, but with your attention. Listen not just to the words, but to the energy behind them. Then reflect that back to her. You could say, I'm really moved by how driven you are. The way your eyes light up when you talk about your studio or your team, it's honestly magnetic. What this does is more than flatter. It affirms her, validates her purpose, and ties those feelings of excitement directly to you. And don't just stop at words. If possible, ask about it later. Show interest again, maybe even offer help or encouragement in a way that doesn't intrude but supports. This consistency signals that your admiration isn't fleeting. It's rooted in respect and emotional maturity. The Stoics believed that virtue was expressed through action, and in the context of modern romance, admiration should also be active, not passive. The more she feels you genuinely value what gives her life meaning, the more she'll subconsciously associate you with that positive emotional charge. That's when attraction deepens, not just physically, but in a way that creates emotional gravity. Remember, a woman's passion isn't just a hobby, it's an extension of her spirit. To admire it is to touch her heart without needing to lay a hand on her. And when you do this with calm confidence, without trying to impress or manipulate, but simply because you respect who she is, that's when she begins to feel safe, seen, and drawn to you. Because in a world full of distractions, being fully present with someone is a rare and irresistible gift. And if this resonates with you, drop a comment right now. I admire the fire in her soul. Like this video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom, and remember, presence is power. Use it well. 3. Complement her energy and vibe. Listen carefully. Real men, men of experience, men of presence, don't chase beauty. They recognize energy. It's not just how a woman looks, it's how she feels. It's the vibe she radiates when she walks into a room. It's the way she moves, the light in her eyes, the way her presence shifts the entire atmosphere. Most guys, they settle for the lazy compliment. You're pretty. That's weak. That's forgettable. But you go deeper. You say, I love your energy. It's contagious. There's something magnetic about the way you carry yourself. It lights up the room. And when you say it like you mean it, like a man who sees through, not just at, everything changes. Because here's the truth. A beautiful woman hears she's pretty 100 times a day. But when you notice her energy, her vibe, you cut through the noise. You stand out. You become the one guy who truly sees her. And that's what makes you irresistible. That's what makes her lean in, curious, open. You're not playing the same game as other men. You're speaking directly to her soul. This is not a trick. This is timeless wisdom. Even the ancient Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. When you reflect back to her that she brings light, strength, or calm into the world, she starts to believe it more deeply. And the one she associates those powerful emotions with is you. You become her mirror, her anchor, her standard. In today's world full of fake filters, performative beauty, and empty praise, this kind of compliment hits different. It slices through all her defences. It makes her feel seen, valued, wanted, not just for how she looks, but for who she is at her core. And here's where most men miss the mark. Women are not attracted to logic. They're attracted to how they feel around you. If you make her feel like she shines brighter just by being herself around you, she'll crave that feeling again and again. So look beyond the surface. Read her energy like a seasoned warrior reads the wind. Compliment not what's obvious, but what's rare, subtle, and powerful. That's the move of a man who leads, not begs, who attracts, not chases. Now here's your directive. Next time you're with her, pause. Look her in the eyes with calm certainty and say, "There's something about your vibe. It makes me want to be better. That's rare." Watch what happens. Watch her entire body soften. Watch her heart open. You just stepped into the top 1% of men. Remember this. When you compliment her energy, you reach her essence. Say it right and she'll never forget you. Ever. If you get it, if this hits you in the chest like it should, drop a comment below right now. I praise energy, not appearances. Not. 4. Acknowledge her strength. One of the most overlooked yet profoundly impactful ways to connect with a woman, especially one of depth and character, is to genuinely acknowledge her strength. And by strength, we don't just mean physical might or bold ambition, but the quiet, persistent power she displays in everyday life, how she holds things together when the world feels like it's unraveling, how she meets responsibilities without complaint, or how she stands tall through adversity with grace and poise. Men often focus on charm or beauty, but many women, especially those who've lived, grown, and endured, feel truly seen when their inner resilience is honoured. As the ancient Stoics taught, true admiration lies in recognising virtue, and what could be more virtuous than the ability to suffer wisely, work tirelessly, and love unconditionally? When you tell her, "I admire how strong you are. You handle things so gracefully, and it's inspiring. Not everyone could do what you do. Your strength is one of the things I respect most about you." You're not just complimenting her, you're validating her humanity, her story, and her journey. You're affirming her as a whole person, not just a role she plays. This kind of praise penetrates beyond the surface and speaks directly to her soul, reminding her that she is not invisible, not taken for granted. And in that moment, she will feel deeply drawn to you, not for your words alone, but for the depth of your recognition. To make this even more effective, think of her real-life struggles. Maybe she's raised children while holding down a full-time job, or perhaps she's supported others emotionally while silently managing her own battles. These are not just acts of duty, they are feats of quiet heroism. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Apply this to her life, and you'll see that every time she chose peace over conflict, perseverance over defeat, or kindness over bitterness, she exercised that same stoic power. Tell her you see that. And be sincere, women are remarkably perceptive about the energy behind your words. This kind of acknowledgement doesn't require poetic flourish. What matters is presence, awareness, and truth. In your day-to-day life, look for the small yet significant things she does. The way she comforts a friend, keeps the family connected, manages crises at work without losing composure, and point them out. Not in a showy or performative way, but with the quiet reverence you'd have for something sacred. When she sees that you recognize not just what she does, but who she is in those moments, it builds trust and a sense of being cherished in a way that's rare. As Maya Angelou once said, "I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it." Women who live by this creed deserve praise that echoes the dignity of their efforts. Now, I encourage you to reflect on the strong women in your life, be it your partner, mother, sister, or friend, and share in the comments how their strength has inspired you. What have you seen them endure? What quiet moments of power have left you in awe? By honouring them publicly, not only do you make them feel valued, but you also inspire other men to raise their awareness, and that ripple effect is part of the old Stoic ideal, to live with virtue, and to help others do the same. If you've made it this far, you already understand what most overlook. True strength often speaks in silence. The woman who holds everything together without asking for applause deserves more than surface praise. She deserves to be seen. Comment this to affirm your growth and honor her strength. I see the quiet power, and I choose to honor it. Leave this in the comments to remind yourself and others that real recognition goes beyond words. It reflects virtue, awareness, and presence. 5. Compliment her looks in a meaningful way. Let's be honest. When it comes to complimenting a woman on her looks, most men play it safe. They stick to the predictable. You're beautiful, you're sexy, you look amazing. And while there's nothing wrong with these words on their own, they often fall flat because they're generic, easily thrown around, and lack depth. If you want a woman to feel truly seen, if you want her to feel drawn to you in that deep, almost magnetic way, you need to elevate your words beyond surface-level flattery. This is where ancient Stoic wisdom quietly enters the room. The Stoics spoke often of attentiveness, presence, and the art of noticing. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And what that means here is that when you rely on vague compliments, you're projecting an imagined appreciation, not a real one rooted in truth. A powerful compliment isn't just about her appearance. It's about how she moves, the way her laughter lights up a room, or how her style reflects her personality. Instead of tossing out a generic, "You're beautiful," imagine saying something like, "There's a grace in the way you carry yourself that makes everything around you feel calm." Or, "When you laugh, your eyes shine in a way that makes the whole moment feel warmer." See the difference? It's specific, thoughtful, and grounded in what you actually observe. That kind of praise hits deeper because it shows that you're paying attention, not just to her looks, but to her essence. And let's face it, in a world flooded with filters, edited photos, and swipe-left dating, authenticity is rare and magnetic. When a woman senses that you see her in a way that others don't, even in something as simple as the way she brushes her hair behind her ear, it creates emotional intimacy, which is far more powerful than any flashy pickup line. To do this well, you need to slow down and really look. Be present. Stop thinking about what you're going to say next, and instead, observe her. What about her is unique? What about her face lights up when she tells a story? How does her style express her mood or creativity? These are the things that show you're not just attracted to her, you're intrigued by her. That intrigue is what turns a simple compliment into a moment that stays with her. It's not about being poetic or overly romantic. It's about being real. And realness builds trust, which in turn creates attraction that isn't just physical, but emotional and enduring. In modern life, where conversations are often rushed and people feel invisible behind their screens, this kind of meaningful compliment stands out. It's a reminder that in order to connect deeply with someone, you don't need to be flashy or overly clever, you just need to be attentive. The next time you see her, try giving a compliment that shows her you've noticed the details others overlook. She won't just feel flattered, she'll feel understood. And when a woman feels understood, a natural closeness begins to grow. That's how you build the kind of attraction that isn't easily shaken, one rooted in presence, observation, and respect. So don't rush it. Watch, listen, notice, and when you speak, let your words carry the quiet power of someone who truly sees her. 6. Appreciate her sense of humor. Most men overlook one of the most powerful forces of connection, her humor. They chase charm, beauty, and mystery, but they forget that when a woman makes you laugh, not just smile, but laugh from your gut, that's a sign of something rare. Emotional alignment. This is ancient wisdom, yet it's rarely spoken with clarity. Let me tell you the truth. When you recognize a woman's sense of humor and genuinely praise it, you ignite a magnetism she can't resist. Why? Because in a world that often expects women to be pleasing, composed, and appropriate, Being seen and celebrated for her wit gives her permission to be alive around you. That's power. That's intimacy. That's Stoic strategy in action. The old masters knew it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts." When you reflect back to a woman that her presence brings laughter, lightness, life, you're showing her the colour of your thoughts. She feels it. It's real. Say it straight. You crack me up. Your humour is magnetic. You bring out the best in me with your playfulness. Don't just flatter her. Acknowledge her essence. It's not about being clever, it's about being clear. Show her that her ability to make you laugh makes your world feel lighter, and she will crave being in that world. This is psychological. Laughter triggers dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. When you become the man who responds to her humour, her brain literally starts to associate you with pleasure. You're not just praising her, you're rewiring her attraction to you. And here's the kicker. Most men miss this chance. They think being the funny one earns them points. Wrong. True power lies in receiving joy and making her feel like the source. That's reverse psychology. That's Stoic seduction. That's how you lead, by recognizing value others don't even see. Remember what Oscar Wilde said, "A man's face is his autobiography. A woman's face is her work of fiction." Your job is to see through the fiction, to honor what's real underneath. Her laughter, her edge, her rhythm. This is how you stand out. You're not just another man trying to impress her. You're the rare man who gets her. And in today's noisy world of shallow compliments and empty validation, that kind of understanding is irresistible. You want to lead in life? Master the art of meaningful praise. Praise that cuts through the surface and hits the soul. Start with her humour. Appreciate it out loud. Tell her she's hilarious. Show her that her laughter moves you. Be the man who's not afraid to say, "You make everything more fun." And then watch how her eyes light up, because now you're not just a man. You're her mirror, her flame, her anchor. And if this insight hits something in you, like, comment and subscribe, and drop this in the comments, I choose to be the man who sees her. Because that's where it begins. Not with tactics, not with tricks, with truth, spoken boldly. Remember, praise her humour, and she will be drawn to you again and again. 7. Recognize her effort. There is an ancient power in words spoken with presence, a strength not of dominance, but of awareness. And nowhere is this more true than when it comes to the quiet, often overlooked power of recognizing a woman's effort. In the chaos of modern life, where attention is fragmented and gratitude is often replaced by expectation, a man who sees, truly sees, the effort a woman puts forth becomes more than just a partner. He becomes an anchor, a rare presence in her world of invisible labour. This isn't about flattery or pretense. It's about being deeply present, rooted in the wisdom that Marcus Aurelius once echoed when he said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And when your thoughts begin to include careful attention to her, to what she gives, what she sacrifices, and what she carries daily, something profound shifts, not just in her, but in you as well. Think about how often the small, consistent efforts a woman makes go unnoticed, the way she gets up early to prepare for her day while still making space for yours, the way she navigates her own stress while still offering you comfort, the way she remembers what matters to you even when no one remembers what matters to her. These things are easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but when you do pay attention, when you pause and say, "I see how much you're doing, and I appreciate it," you're not just offering words, you're giving her emotional oxygen in a world that too often demands her breath without giving anything back. And here's the truth that wise men through the ages have always known. The greatest form of strength is presence, not dominance, not silence. Presence. Recognition of effort is not just some tactic to make her like you more. It's a window into emotional maturity. It tells her that you're not just interested in who she is when she's glowing or dressed to impress. It tells her that you're interested in her whole self, the version of her that holds things together behind the scenes, the version that shows up when it's hard, the version that chooses to love even when she feels tired, stressed, or unseen. This kind of recognition isn't flashy, but it's potent. It's the kind of praise that doesn't just graze the surface, it sinks in and stays. And what makes it powerful is your sincerity. When you say, "I love how much thought you put into making that dinner," or "I noticed how patient you were during that difficult conversation," or even simply, "Thank you for always thinking of us," you're affirming not just her actions, but her worth. Let's bring this into modern life. If you're a man in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, you've probably been through seasons where emotional expression felt like a risk. Maybe you grew up in a time when men were taught that acknowledgement was weakness, or that silence was strength. But Stoicism in its true form, the kind Seneca taught, was never about emotional coldness. It was about discipline of the mind, awareness of the moment, and clarity of action. Seneca himself said, "Nothing is more honourable than a grateful heart." So if you want to live by the old Stoic code, don't harden, soften with intention. Let your gratitude be vocal, specific, and frequent. Let it be a habit, not just a gesture. Real life offers us countless chances to see a woman's effort, but only if we choose to be present. Maybe she's the one who remembers to refill the coffee, pays attention to birthdays, or checks in with your aging parents without needing to be reminded. Maybe she's working a full-time job while still showing up with love and patience at home. Or maybe she's simply trying, really trying, to heal, to grow, to love better, and to meet you in that journey. And sometimes all she needs is for you to say, "I see that." That's it. No grand poetry, just real, grounded appreciation. And this matters more than most men realise, especially as we grow older, as relationships deepen or strain under the weight of time, careers, children, or past heartaches. It's easy to slip into autopilot. We assume the other person knows how we feel, or we tell ourselves that what they do is expected. But connection isn't built on assumption, it's built on intention. When you recognise her effort, you're choosing intention over assumption, presence over passivity. You're becoming the kind of man who sees not just what's obvious, but what's subtle and real. And let's talk about admiration. Many men think they need to impress a woman with success or gifts, but here's the secret. Admiration isn't earned through your status, it's earned through your attentiveness. A woman will feel more drawn to a man who sees her emotional labour than to one who buys her expensive things but is emotionally absent. And this is where many men go wrong, not because they don't care, but because they don't express what they feel. But a compliment that reflects true observation, like, "I noticed how you stayed calm even when things were stressful today," can be more powerful than a bouquet of flowers. It shows her that you are paying attention when it counts, and that is magnetic. There's a kind of intimacy that forms when appreciation becomes a regular practice. It makes a woman feel emotionally safe, which is the foundation of attraction. Women are not drawn to perfection. They're drawn to presence. When she feels like you see her in the moments no one else notices, when you speak up and name the goodness in her that she often keeps hidden, she doesn't just feel flattered, she feels valued. And when a woman feels valued, she will open up to you in ways that create deeper connection, trust, and intimacy. This is where real love begins, not in the fireworks, but in the slow, steady flame of being seen. Now, if you're the kind of man who's been through things, loss, divorce, fatherhood, the quiet seasons of loneliness, you might be tempted to think it's too late to express this kind of tenderness. But it's never too late. In fact, the wisdom you carry makes your recognition even more meaningful. Because you've lived, you know what matters. And when you take that life experience and use it to praise a woman with honesty and presence, it changes everything. It brings healing. It creates legacy. It transforms not just your relationship with her, but your relationship with yourself. So how do you start? Begin by noticing. Pay attention to what she does without being asked. Look for the effort behind the results, and when you see it, say something. Don't wait for a perfect moment. The power is in the ordinary. Compliment her when she's folding laundry, planning the family trip, or helping a friend. Admire the strength she shows in keeping things together when life is chaotic. And if the words feel clumsy at first, that's okay. You don't have to be eloquent, you just have to be real. And if you're already doing this, if you've seen how her eyes light up when you genuinely acknowledge her effort, then you know the power of praise. You've felt that shift. You've watched her soften, open, and draw closer. Share that with others, because too many men are walking through life with good women beside them and no idea how to make those women feel truly seen. Your story, your example, could be the key that helps another man wake up to what matters most. In the end, we don't need to wait for anniversaries, milestones, or crises to say something meaningful. We can do it now, today, with a simple, sincere acknowledgement of effort. Because when a woman feels recognized, she feels cherished. And when she feels cherished, she thrives. And when she thrives, so does the relationship. That is the quiet, enduring power of praise. That is the wisdom of the old Stoics, made real in modern love. 8. Tell her how she makes you feel. In a world where compliments are often cheap, repeated and thrown around like loose change, the rarest and most profound praise a woman can receive isn't about her looks, her style, or even her intelligence. It's about how she makes you feel. Not in the poetic, flowery sense that drips with dramatics, nor in the half-hearted way some men mutter sweet nothings to earn approval, but in a way that is grounded, calm, and absolutely true. This kind of emotional acknowledgement bypasses her logical mind and touches something older and deeper within her, something timeless. When a man, solid in his being, pauses and says, "When I'm with you, the noise fades," he's not flattering. He's opening a window to his inner world and inviting her to see the impact she has on it. That's not weak. That's not soft. That's courageous and incredibly attractive. Because women aren't drawn to praise that simply observes them. They are drawn to words that feel them. There's a quiet power in sharing, how a woman's presence changes your internal landscape. You could tell her she's beautiful, and you should, sometimes, but understand that she's likely heard that before, 100 times, from men who barely meant it. But how often has she heard, "You give me clarity," or "When you laugh, I feel something in me unwind"? Those kinds of words, when spoken from a place of stillness and truth, land with a different weight. They don't decorate her ego, they affirm her essence. And that matters. The Stoics, those pillars of ancient masculine wisdom, knew something about the power of presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But even in their call to inner discipline, the Stoics understood the value of meaningful connection. They knew that the right kind of companion didn't distract a man from himself. She reminded him of who he was at his best. When Epictetus taught that we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them, he wasn't just offering advice for adversity, he was underscoring the value of emotional mastery. And mastery includes the capacity to feel, to notice, and to speak honestly from the heart. So when you tell a woman, "I feel calm around you," or "Your presence brings me peace," what you're offering is more than admiration. You're revealing emotional awareness, a quality most men are taught to suppress. But make no mistake, being emotionally attuned is not weakness. It is a high form of masculine strength, because only a man who knows himself can speak openly about what moves him. And only a man who pays attention, deep, real attention, can truly notice the way a woman's energy affects his own. That kind of attention makes a woman feel safe, seen and understood. And more than being looked at or desired, most women long to be understood. They want to know that their presence matters, that they leave a mark not just on your eyes, but on your soul. And when you show her that her spirit shifts something in you, not just your thoughts, but your state of being, you invite her into an emotional space few men ever think to create. This isn't about strategy. This isn't a line to use or a technique to manipulate attraction. This is about stepping into a deeper kind of masculinity, the kind that doesn't need to impress, because it understands the power of truth. Think about your own life. Have you ever had a moment when someone's presence alone made you feel anchored, more at ease, or simply better? Now imagine being told you have that effect on someone. It's unforgettable. So why withhold that from a woman who genuinely moves you? Why hide what you feel when expressing it can deepen the connection between you in ways no gift or gesture ever could? Most men fear vulnerability because they mistake it for fragility. But as Brené Brown famously said, vulnerability is the birthplace of connection and the path to the feeling of worthiness. And the Stoics would agree, not because they were emotional, but because they valued authenticity above pretense. When a woman sees that you can be emotionally honest without losing your composure, that you can speak your inner truth without needing validation, she doesn't see weakness. She sees a man of substance. She sees strength with soul. In practice, this takes mindfulness. It requires you to slow down and really feel what's happening inside you when you're around her. Do you feel lighter? More focused? At peace? Those are signs of emotional resonance. And if you can articulate that, even in the simplest way, you're doing something most men never even think to do. You're building intimacy, not with grand gestures, but with presence. A moment of stillness where you say, "You make me feel safe to be myself," can forge a bond stronger than months of surface-level charm. Real-life wisdom shows us this time and time again. A man may win a woman's attention with charisma, but he keeps her trust with depth. And trust is born when she knows that she doesn't just entertain you, she grounds you. That her voice calms your storms. That her nearness helps you breathe more deeply. These are the things she'll remember. Not your jokes, not your looks, but the way your eyes softened when you told her, "When I'm near you, the chaos in my head quiets down." And here's the paradox. When you express your inner experience without the goal of getting something in return, when your praise is a reflection, not a request, it creates attraction far stronger than any attempt to impress ever could. She's drawn not just to your words, but to the presence behind your words, the honesty, the awareness, the self-possession. It's why some men, though quiet and humble, are magnetic. They speak less, but when they do, their words carry weight, because they come from a place of felt truth. And a woman will always be drawn to a man who feels deeply and speaks clearly. So the next time you're with her, your wife, your partner, or the woman you've just started to get to know, don't default to old scripts. Don't recite cliches. Sit with yourself. Breathe. Feel. Then let your words rise not from your mind, but from your center. Say something like, "I don't know what it is, but when I'm with you, things feel simpler, lighter, like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." That's not poetry. That's presence. And presence, my friend, is what separates the man she remembers from the one she forgets. In a time when men are often either emotionally shut down or emotionally explosive, being a calm, clear, emotionally articulate man is rare, and rare is always attractive. You don't need to overshare or bleed emotions. You need to be real. And that realness, expressed through sincere words, forms the kind of bond that's felt more than understood. As the great poet Rumi once wrote, "The way you make me feel is hard to explain. You make me smile in a special kind of way. You make me fall deeper in love every day." Let your praise be like that, real, resonant, and rooted in the moment. Now I invite you to reflect. When was the last time you told a woman, not what you think about her, but what you feel when you're around her? If it's been a while, try it. No performance, no agenda, just truth. And if you've experienced a moment like this, share it in the comments below. Your story might remind another man of his own forgotten wisdom and inspire him to speak the truth he's been carrying silently in his chest. And that's a wrap, my friend. We've just explored 8 powerful ways to compliment a woman, ways that reach far beyond surface-level praise. And I hope by now you've seen something important. Real connection doesn't come from clever lines or trying to impress someone. It comes from presence, from paying attention, from speaking to the truth of who she is, not just what she looks like. The Stoics believed that we should treat others with dignity and honor, not because it gets us something, but because it reflects who we are. That same idea applies here. When you compliment a woman in a way that makes her feel genuinely seen, and appreciated, not just for her appearance, but for her mind, her spirit, her values. You stand out. Why? Because sadly, most men don't do that. They focus on the obvious and they miss the meaningful. So here's my honest advice to you. Man to man, slow down, start noticing more. When she tells you about her goals, listen. When she overcomes something tough, acknowledge it. When she brings light into a room, say it. Your words have power, but only when they come from a place of sincerity and respect. Don't just flatter her. Honor her. That's how admiration turns into attraction. That's how a spark becomes a genuine connection. And remember, you're not saying these things to win her over. You're saying them because she deserves to hear them. And when your compliments come from that place, pure, honest, and grounded in truth, she'll feel it. She won't just be flattered. She'll be drawn to you because you're offering something real. So if you found this video helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button. It helps the message reach more people. Subscribe if you want more grounded wisdom like this. And drop a comment below. Which of these compliments are you going to try first? Or better yet, have you ever received or given a compliment that really stuck with you? Let's talk about it. Thanks so much for watching. Stay sharp, stay sincere, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.